in today's session of Divorce Court. Daniel Lynn says he's divorcing his wife Jennifer because the baby she's carrying might not be his.
I did sleep with somebody one time. It was protected sex and it was a mistake.
The baby's 3 weeks older than it really is supposed to be. I want to find out who the baby really is.
You've never done anything in your life wrong. You've never made a mistake.
But she says the only thing he cares about is hanging out with his buddies.
You're a married man. Henry's a single man. Your vow said forsaking all others and clinging to your wife. It sounded like you should have married Henry, probably. This is sad. Here you are. You just don't want to be married. You don't want the responsibility of a family. You don't want the responsibility of a wife. Be man enough to admit it.
Today, it's the case of Jennifer Lynn versus Daniel Lynn in this session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Daniel Lynn versus Jennifer Lynn. Mr. Lynn, I'm advised that you've been married for 7 months.
Yes, Your
And you
Honor.
want to end it already?
Yes, Your Honor. We got married, and a week later, she came and told me that she was pregnant, and we went to the family doctor, and he told me that the baby was 3 weeks later than it really was.
Your Honor,
What do you mean
that's
3
not
weeks
true.
later, that instead of it being 1 week in terms of her pregnancy, she was 3 weeks pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor, in terms of 5 weeks, or 5 months versus 4 months, Your Honor.
And what does that tell you, 5 months versus 4 months?
She was sleeping around on me, Your Honor. I
Your
wasn't
Honor,
even in the
that's
same
not
state
true
of
at all.
all.
Did the doctor tell you that?
The doctor told me that there was 3-week discrepancy on how old the baby was. I got home and I was just like devastated because I confronted her about it. I was just hoping, all right, well, she's gonna say she never had sex with anybody else, and turns out
And that the doctor was
she
wrong.
buckled and told me she was, and that's what I mean.
So you were at the doctor's office by yourself? She wasn't there with you?
No, she was with me, and the doctor told us both. Came in the room and said, "There's something wrong with the pregnancy." I'm like, "What's that?" And he goes, "The baby's 3 weeks older than it really is supposed to be."
Then what
Your Honor,
she
that's
told
not
you?
true.
So what happened, Mrs. Lynn?
I had been to the emergency room the night before, and he said that it could be possible that I was 3 weeks farther along than I was. And then
He
went
said
in-
That's why-
possible.
Possible, yes.
No, that's why the baby.
And
You admitted
then
to having
we
sex with somebody else
went to
before.
have an ultrasound, and
that why
I
you admitted
told
to it
him
then?
after I got home that I had protected sex
That's not true, Your
one
Honor.
time
You're
with
not-
one
no,
man
that's not
3
true.
weeks before he came
You
to
told
get
me
me out.
straight out,
And
right?
what do you mean 3 weeks before he came to get you up?
Because I didn't know he was coming to pick me up.
What do you mean you didn't know he was coming to pick you up? Were
He
you
did-
dating?
Yes, we were dating.
Were you engaged?
He never actually asked me to marry him, but
So you didn't
That's
know it
a
was
lie
about
right
time for
there.
you to
No,
be married?
I had asked you to marry me probably about 6 months before I'd come and picked you up.
No, you
And then
didn't.
I came and picked you up. I told you the day before I was coming to get
What is
you.
this coming to pick you up? You lived in different states or
Yes, Your
something?
Honor. I
Yes.
was in the military, and we had
Okay.
met a couple years previous and corresponded through letters and telephone.
And you asked her to marry her.
I asked her to marry because the whole
And-
time she was telling me that she had been faithful, and she was just being with
You had
nobody.
never met, you had always corresponded by mail?
We had met one weekend, and then when I had time off from the military, I had gone home and visited with her over over a weekend period.
And then you asked her to marry you
Then I asked her to marry
after
me.
corresponding.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you had led him to believe that you were not dealing with anyone else other than him?
I had not up until the point of 3 weeks before he came to get me.
So what happened? You were no longer
That's a lie.
interested in him?
No, that's not it at all.
So why did
was-
you start with someone else 3 weeks before he came?
I don't know.
Because she's been whoring around all town. I mean, that's all. Everybody I talk to now, all the men, all that. Every time we drive down the street, all the men be yelling out the window, "Hey, Jennifer!" Like they all know you.
All the
Yeah.
men yell out the window. Well,
you
is it
drive-
her community? Is it your
Yes,
community?
most of
She
my
grew up there.
friends,
Did you grow up there?
Yes, I did, and most
So-
of my friends are males, and he knew that from the time that
So
I
would
met
that
him.
explain why they know her? Does that mean that she's whoring around because they say, hey, Jennifer?
Well, when she got a job with my friend or roommate, my roommate would come home from work and tell me how she flirts with all these guys excessively,
No,
hangs all over them at work, and then she goes to lunch with them. doing
Because
this-
because she flirted with men and because she went out to lunch with her coworkers, that
That's not the
equals
only
cheating
incident.
on you?
That's not the only incident, Your Honor.
What is he talking about, Miss Lynn? Any validity to all of this?
Most of my friends, like I said, are male in my community, so most people who see me talking to males. Therefore, his friend came home and told him, "Oh, she was with this guy. She was talking to this guy." Yeah, I talk
But on
to
Thanksgiving,
males.
she
So does
sure
that mean you're flirting? Do you flirt with them?
No, I don't flirt with them. I
And on
talk to
Thanksgiving?
them.
But hold on a second. But if you were talking to Mr. Lynn before you married, you had intentions of marrying him. Could you explain to me why 3 weeks before you were dealing with someone else? Were you dealing with two men at one time? Is that what was going on?
I don't.
Or he was gone
Yeah.
somewhere and the
That's
other
what
guy
she
was
said.
close?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I was tired of being alone, so I just decided that it was a mistake on my part.
But you had all these male
that.
friends, so why did you have to end up, you weren't alone. If you had all these male friends, why did you have to start having sex with somebody else? And you've been corresponding with him. He's asked you to marry him. You've given him the commitment and the promise, and then you start messing with somebody else.
I did sleep with somebody one time. It was protected sex, and it was a mistake.
That's a lie right there again, Your Honor.
So now you're pregnant.
Yes.
And you're not certain whether Mr. Lynn is saying it's not his child.
Yes,
he
Your
is
Honor.
saying it's not his child, and I know for a fact this is his child.
How do you know for a fact if you had sex with another man and you also had sex with Mr. Lynn? How do you know for a fact it's Mr. Lynn's child?
Your Honor, I had my cycle the day we got married.
So you're counting back with that?
Yes.
I'm going from what a doctor told me with technology with an ultrasound, Your Honor.
And he also said that wasn't necessarily right.
And it coincidental.
It's not necessarily right. The ultrasound is not necessarily right, nor is your counting back from the day of your menstrual cycle.
Yes, and I understand that.
So there is a possibility then that you could be pregnant with another man's child.
No.
Well, now, Mr. Lynn, you don't have any proof that this is not your child. Do you have any proof that after you married her, that she was going around with some other man?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I mean,
your friend right here.
Yes,
Is
Your
this
Honor.
your friend you're talking about?
Yes, that's my friend right there.
Step forward, friend. And I put that in quotes. What's your name?
My name is Henry J. Birch, Your Honor.
Now, what did you observe about Ms. Lynn's conduct after her marriage?
Her cheating on everybody.
Well, I actually seen her in the bars, hanging over guys in the bars.
That's not true.
While he was in the military? Was Mr. Lynn still in the military?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, where was Mr. Lynn when this was going on?
He was at home, Your Honor.
So you were out,
Right.
and you saw Mrs. Lynn out,
Right. We was at the same bar, Your Honor.
and she was hanging over other men.
She was hanging hugged all up on these other guys in the bar, Your Honor.
And what else did you observe?
When we worked together, I observed her getting in the cars with other guys, hugging all over them.
That's not true at all.
Well, hugging doesn't get you babies, you know.
I know that, Your Honor.
But she was flirtatious or bold enough or inconsiderate enough to go out to a bar with you sitting there watching her and flirt with other men. That's what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor, because Miss Lynn, she thinks when me and her husband go out, we flirt with everybody.
Well, when you were out with Mr. Lynn, was he flirting with women?
No, Your Honor.
So he never talked to another woman when the two of you were out?
I mean, he would talk to a woman, Your Honor.
What you call that when he was talking to another woman? Flirting or just talking?
No, Your Honor, just talking. No touching, no hanging over.
No dancing with them?
No dancing, Your Honor.
Just talking to them?
Just talking, Your Honor.
That's a lie.
Your Honor, the only place I was ever allowed to go because she wouldn't let me out of the house was...
How did she keep you from getting out of the house?
She would start crying. She would start throwing fits, breaking things.
That's such a lie.
You have anything else to add?
And that's about it, Your Honor.
That's about it?
Yes.
All right, have a seat. Now, you said she wouldn't let you out of the house.
Yes,
you
Your
look
Honor.
like an awfully big man
She kept
to
me on lockdown, Your Honor.
She kept you on lockdown.
I'm not allowed to go to any dance club, any place where there's women, or she doesn't know anybody that's there.
Well, obviously, you're allowed to go to dance clubs and places where there are women. Your witness, Mr. Birch, just said you all went
I've
out
never
and
been
there
to a
were
dance
women
club
there.
since we've been married. I have never been allowed to.
It's a bar, Your Honor. It's not a dance club.
Okay, dance club, bar. You said nowhere where there were women. Your witness just said that you were in the presence of women.
Yes, Your Honor, but her sister had to be in presence, too.
No, that's a lie.
She had to
Now
have
it's
somebody
another
that she
story.
knew. Your Honor,
Her sister had to be there, too.
Correct. She had to have somebody on watching me constantly. When I was allowed to
Well,
go...
it sounds like to me somebody was constantly watching her, too.
When divorce court returns, the judge gets tough with Daniel.
Now, you're going to stand here being Mr. Self-Righteous and Mr. Sanctimonious about a 2-year relationship when you know you weren't real faithful either.
Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? Take your case to a new court show and be represented by a prominent attorney. Call 877-777-0099. Divorce Court is back in the case of Daniel Lynn as he answers questions about what he'll do if he is indeed the father of Jennifer's baby.
3 weeks after you were married, you found out she was pregnant.
Correct, Your Honor. And
So-
up until the 4 months, I was under the impression that I was going to be the
Okay.
daddy. We're going to have a family. I was all excited. And then I come to find out she's been cheating on me.
So that, no, you
that's
didn't
not
ever
what
find
you
out that
find
she's been
out.
cheating, not by the
confessed to
emergency.
it. She confessed to it, Your Honor.
She said that she had an affair before she married you.
Correct.
So that's not the same because she was dating you, but she had not made a vow to marry you.
We had both agreed that we were going to stay faithful while we were dating, while I was in the Army.
But that doesn't prove this baby is not born yet. You still don't have any proof that this is not your child. And guess what? The law presumes that it is yours.
Well, if it's mine, I'm going to be there for it. I mean,
you know this baby's
But why
yours.
are you leaving now before you know whether
I
it's
didn't leave.
yours?
She left. She was the one who took $1,119 worth of clothing from
Your
my
Honor,
closet
I took 4
that I had
pairs
bought
of
before we
jeans
even got
and
married.
Some shirts.
She took sweaters. I got a
Wait
list
a minute. What'd you do? She did what?
On the day after Christmas, me and Henry had gone out and we had run some errands.
You know, one of your problems is you and Henry need to stop going out so much.
Yes,
You're
Your
a
Honor.
married man.
Well, I don't want to go to the store by
Hold on a
myself.
sec. You're a married man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Henry's a single man. Your vow said forsaking all others and clinging to your wife. You never forsook Henry. You should have shaken Henry.
Yes, Your Honor.
You married. You're too young to have somebody else living in the house with you. It's bad enough when you first marry and you're young to try to get to know each other. Then you bring in a third party who's a friend, a longtime friend, an old friend, a male friend. You hang out together. He probably was a little jealous of the fact that you were married because you were no longer able to hang out with him like you used to.
No,
you see what I'm? Oh, please. Because instead of hanging out with Henry, Henry should have been encouraging you to go out with your wife. How come Henry wasn't out by himself at his own place?
Your Honor, when we go out, or when I go out, or choose, we're going to set up a night where we can go out and we have nothing else going on, I'll invite Jennifer first. She'll be like, no, I don't want to go. Then I'll say, well, me and Henry can go too. I mean, me, Henry,
It
and then she can bring
sounded like
her
you should have
girlfriend
married
too.
Henry, probably.
No, Your Honor.
No, you're saying that she took what out of the house?
She took 4 pairs of jeans, 5 sweaters, about 7 shirts, and 1 jacket. So I'm walking around the neighborhood, I got 1 outfit on, and I got 2 dress outfits. That's it, Your Honor.
So she moved out and took all your clothes?
I don't even have a jacket to keep
And
warm.
you stayed in the house?
Yes,
or
Your
in the
Honor.
apartment? Did you take his things out?
I did take some of
Why?
his clothes, yes, ma'am, because he's bigger than me. Well, not much
She took
now.
them so she can wear them as
Hold on
maternity
a second. She's going to tell me why she took them?
I took some of his clothes because I have no clothes that fit me anymore. I'm 7 months pregnant with his child.
with somebody else's
And
child, Your Honor.
he doesn't want to help me get maternity clothes. He doesn't want me working because there's guys around. So I had
That's
no
a lie
money.
right
No,
there.
excuse me.
I told you you could have
Excuse
learned to
me.
get a job
Mr.
whenever you
Lynn.
want.
Excuse me.
Let her finish.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I couldn't. He didn't want me to work because there was guys around there. I had no money to buy maternity clothes, and I was just popping out, getting bigger, and had no clothes that fit me. So yes, I did take some of his
So
clothes.
you took his clothes to wear as maternity clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you buy her any maternity clothes?
Yes, I did. I went out and bought her
So
about
if he
4
bought you
outfits, Your Honor.
maternity clothes, why did you have to take his?
He bought me 1 pair of jeans and 1 shirt. That's not gonna last
That's a lie
me
right
all
there.
week.
I bought her.
Okay, now, but if you took his clothes
Yes.
and he's working and you're not, what is he supposed to wear to work?
The
He
same thing
has
every day, Your Honor.
tons of clothes. Your Honor, he had at least 12 pairs of jeans in that closet after I left.
This is sad. Here you are, married, you're pregnant, he doesn't believe that it's his, although he has no proof otherwise.
Except for her admitting to me, Your Honor.
She admitted that she had an affair before you married her. You have absolutely no proof that this is not your child. You at least could have waited. Be quiet.
Yes, Your Honor.
You at least could have had the decency to wait until the child was born, take the paternity blood test, and then you could be told with certainty, almost certainty, 99% certainty, whether the child was yours. To abandon her now on this assumption or belief that is not your child, when in fact it could very well be your child, then you have to come back into the child's life. That's not what marriage is all about. And that's not what being a responsible adult is all about. You just ran away from something. You had a problem, you had an issue, and you just ran. You chose to run. 7 months. That's not trying to make a marriage work. That's not trying to build a family. Suppose this is your child, then what?
I'll take care of it, Your Honor.
But you'll take
I'll be
care
the
of it
father of the
without-
baby.
Without the child.
She was the one who moved out of the house. I didn't tell her to leave. I never suggested
Well,
that one
how
time.
can she stay there when you're constantly yelling
It
at
wasn't
her about...
continuous, Your Honor. It wasn't continuously.
And tell me you didn't keep reminding her of the fact that this is not your child.
I did bring that up, Your Honor, because I was mad because she had
Over
lied to
and
me.
over and
lied
over,
to me
probably,
for over
right?
3 years about being faithful and being honest and always.
Mr. Lynn, you know what? We don't know, and she doesn't know what you were doing when you were away for 2 years. She really doesn't know what you were doing. And I'm not going to ask you. But you were in the military
Yes, Your Honor.
for 2 years, away from Ms. Lynn. Now you're going to stand here being Mr. Self-Righteous and Mr. Sanctimonious about a 2-year relationship when you know, if you were to be honest with yourself, you weren't real faithful either.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
You don't want the responsibility of a wife. Be man enough to admit it.
And an update on the case of Debbie Palmer versus Arthur Palmer.
He used my money to basically buy women with.
You mean like paying for prostitution?
Yes.
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back in the case of Jennifer Lynn versus Daniel Lynn as the judge questions Daniel about clothing she allegedly took from him.
So now you're saying that she took your clothes out. She's saying that I took the clothes because I needed some maternity clothes. Because I didn't have any money, didn't have any clothes to wear. My husband is saying, this is not my child, I don't want you here. What is she supposed to do? You want to go buy her some maternity clothes?
She has maternity clothes she wears. She has about 4 or 5 outfits. She has enough clothes to go all week long, wash them at the end of the week. I mean, flip them. She doesn't do anything. All she does is sit at home.
Do you have any more clothes?
Yeah, I've gotten some new clothes since I've been living with my mother.
So now that you've gotten your new clothes since you've been living with your mother, you don't need his clothes, right?
No, I'd be happy to give them back.
All right, so why don't you just give him back his clothes?
Because she's holding them over my head, Your Honor.
Well, like, now she says, I'll give him back. Is that all you want?
Your Honor, yes. And I want to find out who the baby really is. I mean, that's my biggest concern.
You can do that. All you have to do is request a blood test the day the child is delivered. Be there. Be there at the hospital, and you get the blood test. Now, after that, when you find out that it's yours, and you've sent your wife through all of this while she's pregnant, being totally inconsiderate, are you going to be man enough to say, I made a mistake? Are you going to be man enough to say, I falsely accused you? Or are you going to be man enough to say, I'll take you back, forgive me, let's do this right, let's raise this child, let's be a family? Because you then would be wrong in falsely accusing her.
No, it's not just because she's pregnant. The reason I'm so mad at her is because she had sex with another man. The baby turns out to be mine. I'm not going to get back with her, not after her lying to me for close to 3 years, Your Honor.
You've never done anything in your life, never. You've never done anything in your life wrong. You've never made a mistake. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Not with my wife, Your Honor.
She wasn't your wife when she did this.
Yes, Your Honor.
She was not your wife.
Even when we were dating?
I'm not trying to justify. I'm not suggesting that once she promised you that she was not going to go, that she was going to be your wife, that she should have gotten involved with somebody else, but she wasn't your wife. It was a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right? You've never made any?
Well, yes, I have, Your Honor.
So, can't you forgive her?
I'll forgive her, Your Honor, but I'm not going to stay married to her, Your Honor. I'm not.
So then it's not because
she broke the trust when she cheated on me. And then
so why didn't you end it when you were 3 weeks when you first found out? 3 weeks into the marriage.
Your Honor, this is the first time I've actually seen her in almost 2 months, Your Honor.
Okay. You know, I think it's more to it than that. You just don't want to be married. You just don't want the responsibility of marriage. You don't want the responsibility of a family. You don't want the responsibility of a wife. You don't have fun and you don't enjoy going out with her. Be man enough to admit it. I don't like you. I wrote letters to you for 2 years. I visited you 2 times. Didn't have a clue what type of woman you were. I just don't like you. Be man enough to admit it. I prefer to hang out with Henry. And go hang out with Henry. She will return the clothes to you. Court's adjourned.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Debbie Palmer versus Arthur Palmer.
Did you ever take money out of her account?
No.
Oh, you are so full of it.
Did you ever buy prostitute?
No. I had children.
Oh, you're comical.
Oh, come on, Mr. Palmer. Now, don't try to play me for a fool.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? To appear before a real judge on a new court show, call 877-777-0099. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. Debbie Palmer said her husband Arthur was a liar, a thief, and a cheat.
He used my money to basically buy women with.
You mean like paying for prostitution?
Yes, he would have my ATM card. He took it right out of my account. He swindles away the money.
Did you ever take money out of her account?
No.
Oh, you are so full of it.
Did you ever buy prostitute?
No. I had children.
Oh, you're comical.
Oh, come on, Mr. Palmer. Now, don't try to play me for a fool.
Debbie claimed Arthur had spent $760 on another woman and wanted the money back. But the judge said Debbie had not presented sufficient evidence and denied her request. Arthur has asked an ex-girlfriend to marry him. And Debbie says this is the same woman he cheated on with her. Arthur has bought a new van so he can drive the other woman and her children around. Debbie is now looking for a job so she can help developmentally disabled adults.
I'm definitely going to do a DNA test just to prove to him that this baby is his, and so he can start taking care of it.
I'll plan on getting a DNA test as soon as that baby's born to find out who the father really is.
I've always wanted him to be a part of the baby's life. I think that that's only fair. It's not the baby's fault that we couldn't get along. I'm sorry it didn't work out and we got married way too young.